climate of fear.
The humanitarian crisis that is unfolding in front of our eyes here.
This is one of the cells. Come on in here. We're flying over ISIS front lines. This is the only protection we have. Nerves are still very much on edge. Firefighters have been battling this blaze for weeks. What do you say to people who question climate change?
We need to do something now.
Ivan Watson, CNN.
I'm Bill Weir in Greenland, and this is CNN.
This is CNN Breaking News.
Hello and welcome to our viewers in the United States and around the world. I'm John Vors, live in Lviv, Ukraine. With the Russian offensive on Ukraine not only stalled well into its second month, Ukrainian forces are now retaking territory lost in the early days of the invasion. The Kremlin has indicated its main goal is now control of the Donbas region in the east, and Russian troops are noticeably being redeployed from northern Ukraine.
The occupiers are withdrawing forces in the north of our country. The withdrawal is slow but noticeable. Somewhere they are expelled with battles. Somewhere they leave positions on their own.
Satellite images show Russian armor and artillery have abandoned the Antonov air base near Kyiv. The airfield was captured on the first day of the invasion, and Russian forces were well dug in. It's unclear where they went. And now to some disturbing video. A few miles south of the airbase, Ukrainian forces report retaking the town of Bucha. Images from Bucha show widespread damage from shelling and dead bodies left in the street. Across the border in Russia, Ukraine will neither confirm nor deny it attacked a large fuel depot in the city of Volgograd. Russia says 2 Ukrainian helicopters flying at low altitude struck the facility early Friday, causing a massive fire. And the US has announced another $300 million in military assistance for Ukraine, including so-called suicide drones and night vision equipment. CNN's Alec Marquardt has the very latest now from across Ukraine.
With Ukrainian forces taking back territory, putting Russia on the back foot, questions over whether they have gone on the offensive inside Russia. The Kremlin now accusing Ukrainian helicopters of striking a fuel depot just across the border in Russian territory. Moscow calling the alleged attack an escalation, while Ukraine is refusing to say whether they were involved.
I saw the video, but the quality is insufficient for me to identify whether it was Ukrainian helicopters or not.
The lack of denial, suspicious, but U.S. intelligence has long warned of potential so-called false flag operations by Russia to give them an excuse to escalate their offensive in Ukraine.
Let's be very clear. This could be a false flag operation on the part of Vladimir Putin. This is not beyond the type of operations that we've seen come out of Vladimir Putin in the past.
Despite Russian claims of shifting their focus to the eastern part of the country, northern Ukraine is still being targeted. Officials in the northern city of Chernihiv reporting new strikes on a hospital and a lack of daily essentials.
We have no electricity, no water. The Russian forces just shelled a local regional hospital.
But it is to the east, NATO officials believe, that Russia plans to step up their efforts.
What they call de-escalation, I call repositioning.
Thousands of civilians are still trying to flee the southern port city of Mariupol. The Russian shells and constant fighting making it near impossible for people to get out. Some buses managed to. CNN was there as they arrived in safer Zaporozhye. Big red crosses on the sides to indicate there are civilians. Wide smiles from those who managed to escape.
We still have 160,000 people in Mariupol that are not safe. And that's a real problem because all of these humanitarian corridors that Russia simulating, it's in general, it's fake.
While Ukraine fights for survival, President Volodymyr Zelensky says he has removed 2 top generals who he called anti-heroes, who, quote, have not decided where their homeland is.
I do not have time to deal with all the traitors, but gradually they will all be punished.
Alex Marquardt, CNN, at the State Department.
In the coming hours, a convoy of buses will again try to reach the besieged city of Mariupol to evacuate civilians who've endured weeks of a brutal Russian military assault. An estimated 100,000 people are still trapped there. While Moscow agreed to open humanitarian corridors, local officials say Russian troops have blocked aid supplies from reaching the city. One official accuses the occupying Russian forces of taking 14 tons of humanitarian aid bound from Mariupol. On Friday, a convoy of buses organised by the Red Cross was denied access to the city, preventing thousands from evacuating. Those lucky enough to leave, though, they made their way to Beransk, where from there they've boarded buses bound for Zaporizhia and Ukrainian-controlled territory. While they may now be safe, their future remains uncertain. Ivan Watson was at a refugee centre when the buses arrived.
The buses have finally arrived from the Russian-occupied city of Berdyansk. It's supposed to be a 2.5-hour drive, and we were told that they left around noon local time. It was around noon local time, and they've come in at just before 11 p.m. And these buses have red crosses on them, and there are dozens and dozens and dozens coming behind them, and they're pulling into this parking lot. It's all rather dark because the city's blacked out to protect it from the threat of airstrikes and so on, and people here are piled in and exhausted. This has been close to a 12-hour journey for people who were already trying to flee the besieged city of Mariupol. So people have already had to endure bombing and weeks without electricity and a connection to the outside world, cell phone signals, and they're finally here reaching a Ukrainian-controlled piece of territory, but it has been an incredible ordeal to try to help these people through. You can just see kind of exhaustion here. If you take a look at some of the faces of folks, these are people who didn't have cars to make their own escape. They were waiting for this kind of transport. Everybody has been forced to leave their homes. Many of the people who arrived earlier today with their own cars said that their homes were destroyed by Russian artillery, by Russian airstrikes. I saw people bruised and bashed up as a result of surviving explosions and blasts. There are estimated to be more than 100,000 civilians still in Mariupol. The International Committee of the Red Cross, they were trying to reach those people, and they publicly announced that their convoy, just kind of 5 vehicles or 3 vehicles, 9 people, were not allowed in to the city, and Russia controls the entrance because it encircles it with its troops. So here you have people coming in after just an incredibly long day, and what happens is they're brought in by Ukrainian police and then Ukrainian volunteers who register people, they check their documents, and then they're welcomed into a superstore that the city government and volunteers, they've organized medics, hot meals, clothes for free if they weren't able to get out with their clothes in time, and then further information about where to go from here with free transport, because then again, everybody, a lot of these people, this is all they have left, a bag, a suitcase perhaps, and if they're lucky, their family members with them. So this is a major evacuation. There are estimates of at least 2,000 people on some 52 buses that have finally made it through many, many Russian checkpoints to Ukrainian-controlled territory.
With us now from Los Angeles is Robert English, Director of the Central European Studies at the University of Southern California. Robert, thank you for being with us. The Kremlin has made it known its main goal now is to gain complete control of the Donbass region. The General Secretary of NATO, though, put that into perspective. Here he is.
We all have to realize that at the beginning the aim was to take both Kiev and Donbass. Then they have not been successful in neither taking Donbass nor Kiev. And then because they have met much stronger Ukrainian resistance than they expected, and then they are now changing, regrouping, but this is not a withdrawal. It is actually just another way to wage war, and we see that the shelling continues, and we see that the human suffering continues, so the war continues. It's not a real withdrawal from the war.
So the Donbass is an industrial region in the east where Moscow-backed separatists have been fighting the Ukrainian military since 2014. It's also home to the besieged city of Mariupol. So if this region falls under Russian control, big picture here, what does Putin actually win?
Putin wins a corridor from the Crimean territory that he took back in 2014 along the Black Sea coast, connecting it with the Donbass in the east. So this large strip of Ukrainian territory from the southeast to the east, adjacent to Russia, something that strategically could be defensible. And it's a much smaller piece of Ukrainian territory, of course, than he wanted originally. So he gets a small gain, but nothing like the total conquest he was seeking at the outset.
So the ICRC tried to reach Mariupol with a convoy of buses to evacuate 100,000 people who are still there. Putin himself agreed to that humanitarian corridor at the request of the leaders of France and Germany, but the convoy was then denied access by the Russian forces there. So why agree to these humanitarian corridors time and time again, but prevent anyone from leaving? What's to be gained?
You know, John, many have compared Putin to Hitler and the Russian attack to the brutality of the Nazis in World War II. And I think we're seeing another parallel here. Even when the Nazis were being pushed back out of the Soviet Union across Europe by the Allies from the West, they did horrific damage in making that retreat as painful and as damaging as possible for their opponents. Well, Putin's doing something like that here. He is inflicting maximum damage with missiles and airstrikes and artillery in places where he cannot take territory and has no hope of conquest, just to make it as painful as he can and perhaps to get maximum concessions at the bargaining table. It is brutal.
Well, those past humanitarian corridors were agreed to during those so-called peace talks, which obviously they're ongoing. But I want you to listen to the German foreign minister on those talks. Here she is.
Putin is saying every other day that he is having, as he is calling it, peace negotiations. But on the same moment, he's bombing Mariupol. He's bombing so-called humanitarian corridors. He's not allowing medicine and food inside the cities, which is obviously a violation of humanitarian law. So it's war crimes. So you cannot say on the one hand that you're having so-called peace negotiations, and on the other hand, you are bombing hospitals.
Very much to your point, is there anything in these talks for the Ukrainians which make it worth continuing?
Only that the alternative is even worse, right? So as difficult as it is to contemplate a deal with the devil and any kind of settlement that would reward Putin with territorial gains, the Ukrainian country is being destroyed. People are dying in the hundreds. So halting that damage and getting a chance to regroup, maybe take it back later after a period of time, who knows? It's simply to staunch the bleeding, which is on the edge of fatal for Ukraine now. It's the least awful alternative.
It does feel as if that we're coming to a turning point in this conflict, that with the Russians now focusing on the east, the Ukrainians trying to take back territory in the northern part of Ukraine, and there does feel like there could be, maybe the beginning of the end here. How do you see it?
I see the same thing. It's just unfortunate that it's going to take so long, and in some ways it gets worse before it gets better. That Putin will do what we've been talking about, lash out, inflict pain and suffering, simply to inflict pain and suffering, and induce the Ukrainians to make more concessions to halt this bleeding. That's the way vicious wars end. We call them peace talks, but we wouldn't need peace talks if somebody hadn't made war first, and there's no clean ending. In other words, the expectation that as the Russians accepted the defeat of their big strategic plan, we hope that would mean a quick and easy settlement, that Putin would see the light and call a halt to this brutality, and maybe have some concern for the future of his country, isolated, sanctioned, a pariah state for decades. But he hasn't. He just wants as much territory as he can get, even if it means senseless killing.
Well, very quickly, the Russians have claimed that 2 Ukrainian helicopters crossed into Russian territory, destroyed a fuel storage site just across the border. The Ukrainians will neither confirm or deny that attack, but assuming the attack was carried out by the Ukrainian forces, how much extra pressure does that now add to Russia's problems of resupplying and refueling? And also, what is the message that sends to Moscow?
Well, the message is that we're not defeated yet, and you may be repositioning the forces from Kiev, from Kharkiv in the north, back down to the southeast to try to consolidate the Donbass, but we will make that movement. We will ambush, right? We will trap them. We will strike even into Russian territory, and we will use those drones, even more than the anti-tank weapons. We will use those drones that America is providing us to make your life a hell. And if you think that you will trap our troops in the east and walk all over us in the Donbass, you might have another thing coming. The Ukrainians might have more surprises in store for the Russians to counteract the barbarity of Putin's tactics. We have to wait and see there.
They've had a few surprises already, Robert. So I guess there are a few more in store. Thank you so much for being with us. We appreciate it.
You're welcome.
We will take a short break. When we come back, an alarming warning from the head of the Chernobyl nuclear power plant about what Russian troops may have been exposed to. More on that when we come back.
There were 3 strikes that hit this facility. This is as close as you're going to get.
Just look at the utter destruction caused by this massive explosion. Imagine the good fortune of the truck driver. He managed to survive.
More than a month into the war here in Ukraine, and the refugee crisis continues.
It is not even remotely close to being a ceasefire.
In Kiev, Kherson, Zaporizhzhia, Lviv, this is CNN.
The beauty of the photograph is that when people do view the images, they have that visceral response. And I think when we can see an image of a fellow brother or sister around the world and we connect to that person, it brings it home, it makes it personal. My name is Lisa Christine, and I'm a humanitarian photographer. I believe that we can all do something to help in the fight against slavery. Something that really stands out to me is my experience that I had on Lake Volta in Ghana, where thousands of kids are enslaved in the fishing villages. The kids there work an inordinate amount of hours on an enormous body of water, although they're not taught how to swim. They are fishing and pulling in nets, and it's pretty intense out there on that lake. There's a young boy named Kofi who I met at a shelter. He had actually very recently been rescued. And I made this particular image at a well where this young boy was bathing. And he has all these water droplets on his face. But the thing that really stands out to me is that some months later, I learned that he had been reunited with his family. And then he got to go to school. And I think, well, who is he going to become because somebody took a stand for him?
We provide products that make it easy for consumers and institutions to be part of the digital currency market. One of the first things that I tell folks getting involved in the crypto market is we're still in the early stages of it. Less than 5% of US institutions have ever traded crypto. And probably single-digit % of the world's population has ever interacted with a cryptocurrency. That number goes up every single year, and as it does, the total market cap of crypto goes up as well. And so, I don't know if we go from 5% of institutions to 15% this year or next year, but this is the future. Finance powered by open source crypto protocols and a financial system for the internet is an inescapable trend in our world today. And it's only a question of your time horizon. And that's why it's so important to be a long-term investor when you're an investor in the crypto market.
On the next Vital Signs, we're exploring the future of medicine.
The work we are doing is joy.
With the team that brought us the Pfizer-BioNTech COVID-19 vaccine.
The first subject was dosed in less than 3 months.
Could their groundbreaking mRNA technology also help treat cancer? and get a sneak peek at what other innovations the future might hold, including lab-grown organs and AI-powered medical devices.
Vital Signs, this weekend on CNN.
Welcome back. An update now from the director of the Chernobyl nuclear power plant, who says it's impossible to determine the level of radiation Russian troops were exposed to while occupying the plant. In a Telegram message, he said troops may have received significant exposure while digging trenches, but their activities remain unclear. The director of Ukraine's nuclear facilities also confirmed that Russian forces have now withdrawn from the plant and the territory surrounding it. The head of the UN's nuclear watchdog says what's happening around Ukraine's nuclear power plants, all of them, is dangerous, uncharted territory. Rafael Grossi just came back from a trip to Ukraine and Russia. CNN's Becky Anderson asked him about his concerns that nuclear sites could come under fire yet again.
I think that preserving the physical integrity of a nuclear power plant is of the essence. I think that the deployment of the IAEA, the presence of the IAEA, the intensity of our work and our attention on this is helpful in averting such a scenario, which is the worst that you could have. You are describing an attack on a nuclear reactor, which is, I think, not a very probable scenario. But there are other issues that we have been looking at and must be looking at, namely the possibility of a nuclear accident, which is something different.
Sure. Let me just put this question to you. Are you in touch with Russian authorities? And is there any evidence that Russia, in its strikes in Ukraine, will ensure that it doesn't target nuclear facilities? Do you have any confidence that that is the case?
Well, there's many questions to your question. Of course, I am in touch with them. I must be. Otherwise, there's no efficiency or effectiveness in whatever I do. So, in fact, on my way back to Vienna, I stopped in Kaliningrad, which is in Russia. And then in Kaliningrad, I had meetings with the Russian side to also discuss about these things. Any attack to a nuclear facility is against international law. I think everybody, including Russia, is very clear about it. And trust or not trust is something that is of course very subjective. What I can tell you is that we will continue working no matter what. We are going to be putting everything possible to prevent that occurrence.
Right. Let me be quite clear here. Do you trust that Russian authorities, that Vladimir Putin, his military, will avoid targeting nuclear facilities? Do you trust them?
Nuclear facilities have not been targeted. We had an event which was quite concerning when within the site of a nuclear power plant in Zaporizhia, there was an exchange of fire. There was probably shelling, not directed at the reactor, but involving an administrative building nearby. So I cannot conceive, I could not imagine that a nuclear reactor would be targeted. The Russian government has affirmed this, and I hope that this will be the case.
Grossi says as of next week, his agency will be working closely with Ukraine to preserve the safety of all nuclear sites, including Chernobyl. Well, Russia is pushing for more trade with India as it looks for a lifeline from those crushing international sanctions. Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov was in New Delhi Friday, meeting with Prime Minister Narendra Modi and other officials. Lavrov later said Russia is ready to sell India whatever it wants to buy. He also said the two countries will increase the use of their own currencies for trade. During a round of meetings, Lavrov thanked India for what he described as seeing the full picture.
This day, our Western colleagues would like to reduce any meaningful international issue to the crisis in Ukraine. You know our position. We do not hide anything, and we appreciate that India is taking this situation in the entirety of facts, not just in a one-sided way.
Before his trip to India, Lavrov visited China. Both India and China are refusing to directly condemn the Russian invasion of Ukraine. Precisely because of that stance, China took heat from the EU during a virtual summit on Friday. After the talks, EU leaders said China cannot look the other way while Russia violates international law. The head of the European Commission said she had an open and frank exchange with China's president. Her message on sanctions was this: if you're not part of the solution, don't be part of the problem.
We expect China, as a member of the Security Council of the United Nations, to take its responsibilities. There are few members only, and they have a vast responsibility. And China has an influence on Russia. And therefore, we expect China to take its responsibility to end this war and to come back, that Russia comes back to a peaceful negotiations solution. We expect China, if not supporting the sanctions, at least to do everything not to interfere in any kind. Also on that point, we were very clear.
Von der Leyen also told China that no European would understand any support for Russia's war effort. I'm John Vors. Our international viewers, stay tuned. Inside Africa is up next. For everyone else, please stay with us. Our ongoing coverage of Putin's war of choice continues after a short break.
This is CNN. More people get their news from CNN than any other news source.
I want this show, One World, to be a place where people watching from all corners of the globe can understand why what happens in Africa has a huge impact on all of our lives in ways we might never even know. Because of my background, I am well aware of the vibrancy of this continent, and I want to show that to the world. People of my continent do deserve to be heard. We are rich in ways beyond the soil beneath our feet.
One World with Zain Asher, weeknights on CNN.
Business is all about making connections. But some connections are easier to make than others. With a CNN partner hotel, The world is always at your fingertips. CNN Partner Hotels. Connected to your world.
I'm Vedika Sood in New Delhi, and this is CNN.
Inside Africa, in association with Zenith Bank.
Across Africa, musical artists are crafting the sounds of the future. With Afrobeats now a worldwide sensation, and the newer genre of Amapiano right on its heels, there's a generation of young and musically gifted Nigerian talents pushing to break through.
We're going to help them build their sound. We're going to teach them music business.
Self-starters launching their own record labels, building their own brands.
After MBU freestyle video went viral, I sort of saw the need to be more structured.
Charting their own path.
The best part about writing songs or making music for me is the catharsis that it gives you. So it's like an explosion of emotion.
They've got access to the technology, the platforms, and an international fan base hungry for more.
I did a few covers that I put on Twitter, even after I released music, so that helped me gain new fans as well.
Ready to blow up and eager for the world to hear. These are Nigeria's emerging musical artists. This is Inside Africa. Jimmy Abdul's is hard at work in his studio in Lagos. The singer and record producer is stringing out musical chords to create a new track. Jimmy has been writing songs like this since he was a child.
I grew up around musical instruments, and being the fourth of 5 children growing up, people before me used to play instruments. And once I got into secondary school, I with a couple of my friends, one of them who is even my manager right now, we started singing a group called LOL. That's where the whole music thing started from. So we would perform shows in school, we would perform fun days, class parties, all of that. And you know, as time went on, I went from being a high school artist, high school known sensation, you know, to being a university sensation.
While in university, he learned to make beats using software like FL Studio and other programs available online.
I watched a lot of YouTube tutorials. I learned a lot of things on YouTube. And you know, with time and experience, I was able to start properly producing my music.
In 2015, Jimmy released his first ever single, Pose, with help from popular Nigerian producer Ade. Since then, the Afrofusion singer has released a couple of tracks through his own label, Chase Music Nigeria, and performed live.
Bring your friends, yeah. Bring your friends, yeah.
The 24-year-old says promoting music as a young up-and-coming artist in Nigeria is challenging, but there are outlets that can help.
Things like TuneCore allow us to distribute our music without the need of a record label, whereas 50 years ago, I would need a record label because the record label is the one with the resources. They have the funding to print records. They have the transposition networks to get my records across the country. You know, they have the money to make posters and do my photo shoots and record. But now I can record my music in my house, get it on the internet, and distribute it to the world. People from everywhere can listen to my music without those extra channels. That's the benefit of technology today, and it's something that every artist, both in music and outside music, should have a hand on.
Jimmy is using that same technology to support other Nigerian artists through a music development program under Chase Music.
We have some artists signed to us on artist development contracts, so we're going to help them build their sound, their brand. We're going to teach them music business, the things they should know in the industry, the things they should do, the things they shouldn't do, and pretty much make them appealing to labels and people that can help them get their artistry to the next level.
You know what, I have this idea.
Jimmy says Chase Music started as a random idea conceived with a friend in his dorm room. But over the years, the label has signed music acts like Afrofusion songwriter King AMO.
Chase Music is my management. So since then, we've worked on 3 songs. We dropped 2 on the EP. I dropped a single last December and I was featured on one of the songs. Yeah, it has helped with promotion and it has helped with building me up as an artist.
Chase Music Nigeria earns off music distribution. We earn off publishing deals. We host workshops, classes, talks, exhibitions, the likes, everything you can think about in the music industry and space. The point is to spread music on a larger scale. This also includes, using new technology, using new advents. The world is changing and new innovations spring up every day. So we want to always be abreast and always adapt to what's new, to find new ways to spread our music to more people, while also pulling up and developing a new generation of artists and stars as well.
Thinking of banking in Africa? Think Zenith. In today's fast-moving, fast-changing world, you need a financial partner that understands your unique expectations. A bank with presence in major financial centers across the world, with the enabling platform to facilitate seamlessly, whenever, wherever, however. A bank with best-in-class financial solutions from a superb combination of technology and human touch for easy, fast and secure banking that creates real value. Turning dreams into reality is now in your hands. People, technology, service. Zenith Bank, in your best interest.
On the next Vital Signs, we're exploring the future of medicine.
The work we are doing is joint.
With the team that brought us the Pfizer-BioNTech COVID-19 vaccine.
The first subject was dosed in less than 3 months.
Could their groundbreaking mRNA technology also help treat cancer? And get a sneak peek at what other innovations the future might hold, including lab-grown organs and AI-powered medical devices.
Vital Signs, this weekend on CNN.
You don't wanna mess with a girl like me. I don't wanna drama, oh baby.
25-year-old singer Dami Oniru is all about R&B.
All I need.
As a child, she was influenced by popular American artists like Brandy, Usher, and Keisha Cole.
I had been a big music consumer because of my mom and my uncles. They just love music so much, and I guess that's like trickled down to me.
Don't be mistaken.
I used to sing in the music room at break times in secondary school, and after a while people started coming in to watch me, and then I started getting compliments.
When Dami wasn't belting out tunes in school, her family and friends served as the audience. But she says she never considered doing much more than that, until she met record producer Jimmy Abdul's in 2015.
That was the first person I really had a conversation with about music that I had access to, especially at that age. He was young like me, we were the same age, and he kind of really just encouraged me to start. Recorded my first song at his house. It's called Iao. I kind of cringe listening to that song now, but everybody seemed to like it back then. They can't see these names. So that was my first ever like proper studio recording session of my own original song. If you give me money, 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 I'll be fine.
She initially released 3 singles online and then went on hiatus to finish obtaining a college degree. After graduating from Aston University in Birmingham, England in 2018, Dami turned her focus back to music to work on what would become her debut music project.
Literally, the first thing I did when I came back was I just called Remy Baggins. He's a producer. I think I had spoken to him before I came to Lagos, actually. I had made known my intentions of wanting to work with him and hopefully creating a project.
You used to talk to me, my pride did I see we.
In 2019, the duo hit the studio, and 2 weeks later they emerged with the extended play record, Breeze Lounge, a title inspired by her real first name, Brianna, and because she says it felt like something you could listen to in your pajamas. Since the release of the 7-track EP, Dami has gained a bit of prominence for her R&B sound.
Rearrange, I've been waiting for you to come at me lately, circulating.
Today, the songwriter is in her Lagos studio, putting the finishing touches on a song she intends to release later in the year.
A certain relationship to go.
And she's doing it with her manager and producer, Remy Baggins.
Being a woman in the industry comes with its own set of challenges, being overlooked, being sexualized, being taken advantage of, being discriminated against, if I may say. You have to look a certain way. I think this is anywhere though, this is not just Nigeria specific. Having to look a certain way, you know, before people acknowledge you or notice you. And it really just takes one person, you know, to set that boundary for themselves. And then obviously domino effect of that, you know, many women kind of just standing up for themselves and not taking, am I allowed to swear? No, I was. And not taking nonsense, you know, from men or even other women, because women are not always nice to each other as well.
When she needs a break from the daily hustle, Dami turns to one of her hobbies.
I can build web applications and mobile applications.
To pass time during the pandemic, the singer applied for a virtual software engineering course.
I've designed what I would like an app or a prototype of an app to look like for myself, or a mobile version of what I would like a part of my website to look like.
With new skills and a potential backup career if it's ever needed, Dami says nothing tops making music.
I think it's the creation process. For me, just even being there when the beats are made from scratch, because I like to have input in that process as well. Arranging the beats, finding melodies, arranging the melodies, then finally writing. Like the whole process for me is what I really enjoy.
I think for Dami, she has many personalities and she tries to show that in her music. So I know that in this 2022, what you guys can expect is seeing those sides to Dami. You have the sassy, you have the confident, you have the shy and quiet individual within Dami, and I think everybody will be able to relate with a little piece of her.
Next couple of years, I should have dropped an album, should most likely be on tour. Probably on track to win a Grammy. I'm speaking it into the existence now, so I'll come back to this video and watch when I win. I'll be like, CNN is where you heard it first.
Thinking of banking in Africa? Think Zenith. In today's fast-moving, fast-changing world, you need a financial partner that understands your unique expectations. A bank with presence in major financial centers across the world, with the enabling platform to facilitate seamlessly, whenever, wherever, however. A bank with best-in-class financial solutions from a superb combination of technology and human touch for easy, fast, and secure banking that creates real value. Turning dreams into reality is now in your hands. People, technology, service. Zenith Bank, in your best interest.
Sunday, Russia's Ukraine invasion and a strong man's grip on power. A former oligarch gives Fareed his take on the sentiment in Russia. Could this unprovoked war be Putin's downfall? Fareed Zakaria, GPS, Sunday. Coronavirus. To get daily news updates in your inbox, sign up for the CNN newsletter. Coronavirus. Fact versus fiction.
In Nigeria, many up-and-coming artists are finding innovative alternatives to recording and promoting their songs in order to grow a fan base and generate an income for themselves.
We have Fave in the studio today.
My name is God's Favor Chidozie, aka Fave, because that's what people know me by. Hey, my name is Fave. I'm an artist, I'm a singer, I'm a songwriter.
Fave, also known as Fave Season, says she has been singing and writing songs for as long as she can remember.
Baby Rhythm by Fave on your #1 hit music station.
But it wasn't until 2019 when the artist says she met a producer who let her record her first single for free that a career making music became a reality. Fave turned to social media and free streaming platforms to push her songs.
So I was like, I want to just start by putting it on Audiomack or SoundCloud. I don't have money to put it on streaming platforms. I said, let's just start little and then we can, put it on other platforms later on.
In 2020, while thinking up new ways to get more exposure for her music in the midst of the pandemic, Fave said she had a eureka moment.
I started making videos and posting on social media after my first single, I think, either the first or the second. Anywhere that I was going to get more exposure, I was doing that sort of videos, and I would just get my friends to like if you needed likes or comments to win. And I felt like I need to put myself out there the same way I felt with my first single, that I need to at least start.
If I fly away and go hunting, will you come with? If my head is too big to carry, will you hold me?
One of the videos she posted on Twitter went viral, gaining her accolades from some of Nigeria's top music stars, including Mr. Easy and Olamide.
After MBU freestyle video went viral, I sort of saw the need to be more structured, be more deliberate with the things I was doing as an artist. I started to learn more about branding as an artist, getting to connect with people.
Record labels often own rights to the music of acts they sign, making it difficult for the artist to be independent if they so desire. Fave and her partners, Ifeoluwa Soft Adekolu and Moronfulua Folu Alawi, started their own record label, Tumblr, so she could do just that.
I mean, music is changing in the business side because artists are beginning to own their stake more and more. So she wants to be an independent artist. So I feel like she may as well just need a platform to represent her on that level. So we basically set up Tumblr for Fave. Tumblr is also artist-owned in the sense that Fave co-owns Tumblr as well. So it's basically catering for her while she has a stake in it.
While Soft and Folu are focused on managing the business, the singer says she's focused on creating hits.
I love everything about making music. I love when the melodies come to my head and I sing it out of my mouth and I'm like, okay.
Steady your face, your phone.
I love when I am thinking of stories, making up stories in my head as well. I love being able to produce the beats with producers, tell them what it is I would like to hear here and there on the beat.
Today is all about promoting Fave's latest project.
Right now we're at Cool FM Lagos, here to talk about my EP that just dropped, titled Rhythm 5.
Okay, let me play another song off the EP. This is Obsessed.
I'm obsessed, I confess, these things in my head go spinning.
The singer says she draws inspiration for her sound from the artists she grew up listening to.
I would say there's a lot of soul in my sound, probably because the artists that I get the biggest inspirations from, right from when I've been growing up, is Adele, Sia, Lana Del Rey, the ones that really just, you can feel their soul and their heart in the songs as you're listening to them, and they give you goosebumps. So I always looked up to that. So I think it's something that's never really leaving my music.
And just like her famous, internationally known music mentors, she too hopes to bring her talents to the world.
I would love to be performing on, stages in different countries and all over the world. I would love people to expect more bangers from Fave, more good music from Fave, and I would love people to get to know me more, so I would love to connect more.
So this will last for me. Take my secrets, got them like precious money.
Thinking of banking in Africa? Think Zenith. In today's fast-moving, fast-changing world, you need a financial partner that understands your unique expectations. A bank with presence in major financial centers across the world, with the enabling platform to facilitate seamlessly, whenever, wherever, however. A bank with best-in-class financial solutions from a superb combination of technology and human touch for easy, fast and secure banking that creates real value. Turning dreams into reality is now in your hands. People, technology, service. Zenith Bank, in your best interest.
You can help the refugees from Ukraine. Join the over 70,000 who've already raised millions for food, shelter, and more. Explore cnn.com/impact. Click to take action.
Sake of say, I love you, you want to put me inside schools. Every day you come up with a new excuse.
My name is Eugenia Oniko-Ojo-Abu, aka May, and I am a musician.
My name is Ikeria Ojotuliabu, aka Oiza, and I'm a musician/singer/songwriter. And together we are Oiza and May.
You're bending a note and you're not supposed to sing. Sing it, let me hear.
Story, story.
It's story, story.
In Abuja, Nigeria, twin sisters Oiza and May are recording their first set of studio singles.
Do it again.
The track is one of many on their upcoming record.
The inspiration for the EP is basically the songs that we've written in recent times, and it just shows like the growth of our music. So it's just inspired by how far we've come in the industry. So that's the inspiration for the EP right now.
The girls started their journey into making music at the age of 6.
It was Christmas time and my uncle Umar was around and they had written a song and it was called Santa Is Coming. And we were 5 or 6 and we thought that booty and body meant the same thing. So this is us like deciding that we're going to do like a whole showcase for the whole family. All my older cousins, my uncles were there. And we sat down and we're like, everybody, Santa is coming, just shake your booty. And I was like 5 years old and they were like 5, 6. And they were like, do you even know what you're saying? But like after that, everything had been like smooth sailing because like we started to understand different things and know how to filter and keep things like age appropriate when we were singing.
The duo sang on and off while studying at Ahmadu Bello University in Zaria, Nigeria. But it was a last-minute decision they made in 2020 that opened their eyes to the potential of making music a full-time gig.
So one day, for the first time in like a very long time, we were all dressed up at the same time.
Yeah.
So before we stepped out of the house, I told us, I was like, okay, let's just try and do this singing video. We did the first one.
Hi guys.
And I think it got 1,000 views and we had never gotten 1,000 views before. We did the second one, it did well.
Hi guys.
Then we did a third one and we wrote a song called IJGBs for Nigerians in diaspora. And we slept and we woke up and our phones just started buzzing and buzzing and buzzing and buzzing. Apparently someone had posted it on Twitter and they were like, oh, these girls can really sing, check out their stuff.
The line between love and hate, I'm standing outside heaven's gate.
They say posting on social media helped kickstart their career.
It's been very helpful because there are certain audiences that we could have never reached if we did not post on any of our social media platforms. For example, we posted something on TikTok, I think. 85% of the people that watched that video were from the US. And if there was no TikTok, there was no social media, I highly doubt that me and Oiza would go abroad with our CDs.